for future reference for me to share with you. So welcome to tonight's class, Become a Tax Pro with TSG Pro Advisor. My name is Jennifer Colon, and you were either invited tonight by myself, Jennifer Colon, or my friend, Gladys, who is also a tax preparer. She is a TSG Pro Advisor as well. Today, I want to talk about what it takes to become a tax pro, the benefits of becoming a tax pro, but more importantly, I want to show you the learning platform and I want to show you the software. So I won't be reading these slides verbatim just to save some time here, but I will show you the online software and I will show you the learning platform so you can become familiarized with it. My name is Jennifer Colon and I'm a tax business mentor. I have over 12 years of experience in the tax and accounting industry. I do about 1,000 clients every tax season, sometimes more, sometimes less, depends on the year. And I want to explain to you why I decided to become a tax business mentor. So when I started as a tax preparer, I should go back. I started as a receptionist in the tax office. And through being in the tax office, I saw how much these tax preparers were making, right? I was only making like $10 an hour and they were here making 40, 50, 100,000 in the tax season. So I was like, it piqued my interest. And, one year I owed the IRS like $5,000 and it was the year that I started with this tax office. And the CEO of TSG Pro Advisor approached me and he says, well, who does your taxes? And so I said, I work here, but I do my own taxes. I do them on TurboTax because why would I pay somebody to do something I can do for free? So he asked me what my refund normally is, all these discovery questions. And I told him, we actually owe the IRS. So he said, do you mind if I take a look at the tax return? And I said, absolutely not. I showed it to him and I didn't think there was anything he could do. I thought I knew everything there was about data entry. So I gave it to him and he said, do you mind if I do an amendment for you? Because I hadn't added any expenses. I didn't know what it was to be a tax preparer. So I told him yes, and he did the amendment for me and ended up getting me back $2,000 and cleaning my debt with the IRS. So I didn't owe anything. So it was that moment that I was like, teach me everything you know, sir. So that's how I personally became a tax preparer. But in sitting in that office and being a receptionist, being a quality control specialist, and just kind of preparing these files for these tax preparers, seeing what their commission was, working for someone else is what really pushed me over the edge into being a tax preparer, and also seeing how it changed my world. How I was able to buy a house, have 2 new cars. That's what led me to be a business mentor. I was like, I want to help shape people's lives. I want to help change people's lives. And through that course, right? Because I think Gladys was like my 5th pro advisor. I met Gladys through Carlos, and she became a TSG Pro Advisor, and I've just seen her grow and I've seen her excel in this career. So I'm like, I love what I do, just in the fact that one, I know what I'm doing, and two, I can help you be just as successful as myself. You heard earlier that I did a TikTok class. Now that TikTok class usually has a price of $199, but as a TSG Pro Advisor, you would get that class for free. So it would already be included. All of your marketing training is also included in these courses. So TSG Pro Advisor is a dynamic and innovative platform. TSG Pro Advisor provides you with everything you need to build your tax business or grow your tax business. From accounting software and online marketing platform, we have everything you need to start and grow your tax practice today. So we are a membership platform, gives you access to world-class tax and accounting education, professional tax software, bookkeeping, payroll services, merchant services, and year-round support. So I think this is what kind of sets us apart from other providers that maybe offer you the same thing. Our support is available year-round. So if you get a client in October and your computer decides to stop working for whatever reason, you can call support and they can guide you through whatever you need. But also you have access to me. Gladys is a witness that she, recently had a business client that she had never done before. And she's like, Jenny, can you help me? So I helped her through the return. And she says, well, how much should I charge him? So I said, well, I would charge $1,300. And at first she was freaked out. She was like, $1,300, that's a lot of money. So I said, go with it and see what happens. And sure enough, she charged him $1,300 and he paid her with no ifs, ands, or buts. He paid her. That was just one way that I can tell you that I'm there to support you. I'm your business mentor. So if there's something that you don't know, I'm there to guide you through it. So what we offer tax classes and training. So you learn everything you need to know from individual tax classes to business tax classes, payroll, bookkeeping, and more. You get your professional tax software, which by itself usually costs a lot more, and unparalleled mentorship. So you run into a problem, you just give me a call or Gladys a call, and we're going to guide you through the situation. We also have a completely separate support team who is there to help as well. Now, with our professional tax software, you can do unlimited tax returns. You can have unlimited users. So if you're already in the tax industry, like Gladys, if she wants to add an assistant this year, she can add as many assistants as she wants to the software. There's no additional fee for that. Okay. And our software is cloud-based. It is run online. So you can very well do a tax return from your phone, which is one of my favorite features of this specific software. Of course, my success story. Now, Gladys started with TSG Pro Advisor in 2020. She had an idea of the tax world working under someone else who kept her from growing and learning the industry. In 2022, Gladys opened, well, she's going to be opening her second office and does more than 200 returns with our guidance, support, and mentorship. She's on her way to the top. I'm super excited to watch her grow. And you can also follow her if you don't already. Follow her on her Instagram page at Your Tax Girl Adi. So let me go ahead and jump into sharing the tax class. So I want to show you first the platform. And Gladys, help me out and let me know if you can see my screen, please.
I can see it.
Okay, cool. So this is where you would go for your learning and your training. You would log into this website. All of this will be sent to you via email. I'm gonna go ahead and log in. It's already saved. Cool. One of the first steps and one of the first classes that you're gonna take is the member services class. This is gonna guide you into getting your PTIN and your EFIP, which is necessary for you to be able to complete tax returns this year. I mentioned earlier, I am having a little bit of internet issues and I'm using my phone as a hotspot. So bear with me while that page opens up. Cool. And we're going to be talking about tax and software training level 1. One cool feature, aside from the class that you're taking and you're learning as you go, there are practice problems. So once you sign up with TSG Pro Advisor, within a day or two, we'll send you your username and password for the learning platform and your username and password for the practice software, where you'll be able to practice different scenarios that are already within the online learning platform. I need to go back. And it also comes with audio. So if you're like just driving, you're not with, just sitting in front of a computer, you can listen to it in your car. You can listen to it while you're working out, whatever it takes. All right, cool. All right, so again, as I was mentioning before, one of the first classes that you're going to be taking on this platform is the member services class. And that's where you're going to learn about how to apply for your EFIN, how to apply for your PTIN, and you'll learn about a bunch of other stuff, including publications and the 1040 form that you'll find online. So those are one of the first courses that you're going to take aside from this one. Now, who must file a tax return? Whether you must file a return depends on your gross income, your filing status, and age. It doesn't matter whether you're filing taxes online or by mail. Basically, if you have income, qualifying dependents, or are eligible for a refund, you should file a tax return. I was recently talking to someone who didn't want to file her taxes because she hadn't quite made $12,000 yet, but she had like 2 kids. So I was like, no way, you're kind of selling yourself short. So I did a return. She ended up getting like $8,000. She was super grateful. And that's, I think, the thing with our industry. There's a lot of people out there who don't know what they can and can't do. And that's where we come in. That's where we come in as that word of advice. Advertise your services, let your friends and family know what you're doing, sound knowledgeable in what you're offering, and people will automatically follow. Now, tax return due dates. Generally speaking, tax returns are due on April 15th, unless April 15th falls on a legal holiday or a weekend. In that case, it gets rolled over to the next business day. Like this year, taxes were due April 18th because the 15th, I think, fell on a Friday. Now, if your client is not ready to file by April 15th because they're missing documents, they're just not ready, they can submit what's called an extension by filing Form 4868. Now, this extension gives them an additional 6 months to file their tax return. So then what it means is that they wouldn't have to file that return until October 15th. The most important note to take from there is that in the event that your client submits an extension, if your client owes the IRS any amount of money for that tax year, let's say they owe $500, just because they submitted an extension doesn't mean that they're not going to have to pay penalties and interest on that debt. So if your client owes and they know they're going to owe, it's very important that you do their return by April 15th, or they could face some larger fees at the end. So it's very important that you let them know that and that you're aware of that. Taxpayer ID numbers. Now, each taxpayer who files a tax return must have an identifying number. In addition, each dependent claimed on a tax return must have an identifying number. Now, that identifying number can be a social security number, an adoption taxpayer identification number, or an individual taxpayer identification number, which I'll be talking about shortly. I know recently the state of Georgia announced that they were going to allow pregnant women to claim their babies on their tax return. That, as news comes out about it, we'll update you guys, because I think more and more states will follow that suit. But they won't go where a dependent would typically go. I think they're creating a completely separate document for this. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, as of this specific moment, in order for you to claim a dependent on the return, they need to have a social security number, or at least an identifying number. Now, the difference between a social security number and what's called an ITIN is that a social security number is issued by the Social Security Administration, and therefore you will never have to submit that application for your client unless you deal with immigration issues. That's completely separate. But as a tax preparer, you won't need to apply for Social Security for someone. They would have to do that on their own or through, Social Security Administration. Now, an ITIN, or an individual taxpayer identification number, is an identifying number issued by the IRS. This number is only valid for filing a tax return. The IRS issues ITINs to filers or dependents who do not have a social security number and are not eligible to receive one. ITINs are issued regardless of immigration status. On this slide, I generally get the question of, okay, so if they don't have a social security number, what they have is an ITIN, why would they file a tax return? And that's easy to say if you're not facing the same situation as them, but here's what happens. If that client is applying for any type of legal standing in this country, more times than not, they need a tax return. And for the tax return, they'll need an ITIN number. Now, that ITIN number, again, is issued by the IRS. So in this case, if you came into contact with a person like that, you would have to submit that application for them. And that gets sent by mail in addition to other documents, but you would have to submit that versus a social security number that you don't. And again, it's issued regardless of immigration status. Now, an ITIN is only used for reporting, for tax reporting. It does not authorize a person to work in the United States. It doesn't provide eligibility for Social Security benefits, and it definitely doesn't provide eligibility for the EIC or the Earned Income Credit, which you'll learn about later on in the course. When applying for an ITIN number, you need to provide proof of identity. Generally speaking, you need to provide the original passport, which is super hard for some people to let go of. So what I generally do is I make a copy of the passport and I hand them the copy, but the original does have to go to the IRS. Now, if they don't have a passport or it's expired, then they need to send 2 of the following documents, at least 2. And that would be a national identification card, a US or foreign driver's license, a civil birth certificate, or a US state identification card. Important to note that if they're sending their birth certificate, that has to be translated into from whatever language it is to English. Okay, so very important to note. They would mainly either get that through a notary or a lawyer, someone who can translate that birth certificate for them. And from experience, if they don't have their passport, generally speaking, they might have a birth certificate, but they may not have the additional documentation that won't be expired. So it's really important that we ask for that original passport, okay? Whoops, let me click back over here. Now, there are 5 filing statuses: single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, head of household, and qualifying widower with dependent. In my this is now 13 years of doing taxes, I don't think I've ever used qualifying widower with dependent child. It's possible, but I've never used it. Now, the filing status is super important on a tax return, and it's one of the first things that you're going to select after entering your client's information. Whoops. Determining the filing status is the first step in determining the filing requirements, the standard deduction, and the correct tax. The filing status will usually be determined by whether the client is unmarried or married. The IRS defines marriage as legal union between a man and a woman as husband and wife. Now that is also state dependent. If your state recognizes a marriage between woman and a woman, then you can file the tax return between woman and woman, wife and wife, husband and husband. It's dependent on the state. Some states don't recognize same-sex marriages, so you would have to file the return, single each person. Now, your marital status on the last day of the tax year determines your status for the entire year. So if you were separated or divorced under divorce or separate maintenance decree, on the last day of the year, you're considered unmarried for the entire year. Okay. I'll give you an example. When I was 18 years old, I turned 18 in June. I got married that December, right? So I moved out of my mom's house in December of 2006. Well, when I went to go apply for financial aid, my mom was under the impression that because I lived with her for more than 6 months of the year, she was the one who needed to pay me on her taxes. So when I went to go apply for financial aid that year, I couldn't get financial aid because the return was filed incorrectly. Because I was married as of December 31st of that specific tax year, my return had to be married filing jointly or married filing separately. So in that case, I couldn't apply for financial aid. It was a whole big mess. She was super upset. And I didn't get to go to school that year, but that's besides the point. It's very important that you understand that fact because you'll have a lot of clients come to you and tell you, yes, I'm married, but he lives with his mother, I live with mine. You want to get a clear understanding of when things happen, okay? But even if they got married on December 31st, they are considered married for the entire year, okay? So yes, you're considered married if any of the following are true. You're married and living together as husband and wife. You're living together in a common law marriage were recognized by the state you live in or the state where the common law marriage began. You're married and living apart but not legally separated by a divorce or separate maintenance decree. You're separated under a temporary decree of divorce. Now, single and married filing jointly, you can only file single if you were unmarried or considered unmarried for the entire year. If you claim dependents as an exemption, you may be able to file as head of household, which usually results in a lower tax than filing as single. Married filing jointly is if obviously you're married, right? You're considered married and you and your spouse agree, you can file married filing jointly. Filing jointly also usually results in a lower tax than filing separately. Now, again, the filing status is important because a person's tax bracket and therefore the amount he or she must pay is determined by the marital status, number of children, occupation, and several other factors. You have to file the return honestly or it will be fraudulent, it will be considered fraudulent, and penalties will be assessed. It's important for you guys to understand. I've had clients come to me and they know that when they file together, they're going to get less than if they file separately or if they file single. I don't want to say separately. The reason for that is because if you are married, right, your husband makes 90,000, you make 20. I'm just throwing out an example. And obviously you get more EIC if you were to file by yourself than if you're filing with your husband because you no longer get that credit. So my clients will ask me to run the numbers and I always run the numbers for them so they can see, of course, but ultimately the return has to get sent the correct way. Okay. And you have to let them know the risks of sending it incorrectly. I just want to briefly touch on income. Income is the compensation you receive in exchange for labor, services, the sales of goods, or property as a profit from investment. And the reason I want to touch on this is because a lot of people have the misconception that if you don't have a W-2, if you don't have a 1099, you can't do a tax return. But if you're out here, like myself, I'm a tax preparer. I don't get a 1099 for what I do. In the beginning, I didn't have an LLC set up. So it was basically considered money under the table, right? That is absolutely incorrect. Every dollar that you make is a dollar you should be reporting because it's a dollar that the IRS wants to charge you taxes on. Now, the benefit when you have children is that your children will help offset whatever balance you may owe depending on your income, okay? And on that note, I want to jump over to the software, which I'm going to slide over. Gladys, let me know that you can still see my screen. Cool. So this is our powerful tax software. It is online based. So as long as you have internet connection, you can connect. You can do a tax return from your phone. I'll tell you, it's a little bit tedious to do it on your phone because the screen is so small, but you could do it if you wanted to. From an iPad, from wherever, it doesn't really matter. I personally find this software a little bit more powerful than the ones that we've had in the past, mainly because of that feature, right? You can do it from wherever. We had it on a desktop software. You can only do the returns from that desktop, from that computer, right? So Gladys recently had COVID and she's using that software and she's like, I need this online software. I have returns to do and I can't do it because I'm sick, And I was like, well, we got to wait till the developers get you in there. It was a whole mess, but it makes her life easier to just have her laptop with her, or maybe not even have a laptop with her iPad, and be able to help her clients so she doesn't lose the client. Because if you don't respond to your clients fast enough, they're going to go somewhere else. Okay, so it's very important that you understand that. Now, on this screen, you'll notice that you have access to individual returns, business returns, and your software you're going to have set up where you can add preparers, remove preparers, you can set up your billing scheme, you can do a bunch of things in there. There will be a training on that in the platform because I'm still learning that training as well. Now, for these training purposes, I'm going to go ahead and create a return. It's going to be a simple tax return. None of the returns in here are real. This is a dummy software, so no freaking out. I'm not sharing people's social. All right, so we click on save and continue after we enter the social security number. And then very basic information, you have to enter the client's details, right? First name, last name. Forgive my internet connection. Give me a second. Okay. Now we use what's called Cognito form with our clients where we just kind of send them the link and they're able to enter their information. And then I take that information and I'm able to enter it here. So for this training, we're going to use Barbara. I know I spelled that wrong. It's fine. Vargas, and we're going to put your birthday as January 1st, 1988. You are a manager. We'll scroll down. The very first question is asking, did the primary taxpayer receive Form 1095A? We'll click on no, right? And then it's asking for an address. Forgot the office address, Tech Boulevard, 33619. I always personally recommend that you put in your client's email address because another cool feature is that you can email your clients directly from the software. And you also want to have their phone number because you can text them from the software. So let's say you're having an event, you're announcing that your appointment availability is open, whatever the case may be, you're able to message them directly from your software. And I find that super cool because it saves you money on advertising, right? Now notice down here, it's automatically calculating my resident state as Florida because I entered the social security, I entered the zip code of Florida. But if I were to enter, I know that's so cliche, but if I were to enter the zip code for California, automatically the state of California will show here as a resident state and you'll be able to do the state return. And I'll show you an example of that. I'll just leave this as California. Now, state returns, you can do returns for all 50 states with our software, including Puerto Rico. So that's an excellent benefit because you don't have to just stick to whatever state you're in, right? I'm in Florida, I do returns for people in California. So it's cool. And then in Florida, obviously we don't have state returns, so it works out. Now, when we scroll down here, there's additional questions, right? Did you live in any other state during 2021? Did you make money in any other state in 2021? And then down below, it asks for the routing and account number for obviously direct deposit purposes. And then click here to use this banking information in your state return. So if your client's going to get a refund, just click that button. It'll automatically transfer over the information. Once I've entered all of this, we click on save. It normally doesn't take this long. Barbara, you recently logged in. I'm having internet issues, so I'm using my hotspot. Forgive my slow computer. Okay. Now, additional info is where you're going to add the client's ID number or their license number, whatever information you want to add there. If the specific client had a dependent, you would add them here. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you what that screen looks like. Barbara, I'm going to make you Gladys's mother. She's your daughter. Right? And then we'll make up a social for Gladys. Right. We got to enter it double time because they want you to double verify that the information you entered is correct. And then it also asks that this dependent receive Form 1095A health insurance marketplace statement. We'll put no for this training. Click on save. And wait for it to process. All right. And for this training, notice how the state of California has already populated up here. Now for this training, we'll just add a simple W-2, nothing crazy. Add new. Notice down here, it's already calculating she's getting $3,600, but that's because of the child tax credit. So for those of you who aren't familiar in the tax world, this was a credit that was released last year. Some people were getting it monthly. Some people didn't get it at all. So that's why it automatically calculates it. Now, when we click on add new to add the W-2, cool feature, the software does have a memory. So let's say Barbara works for, I don't know, Best Buy. And then Ephraim comes in and works for Best Buy too. Well, I don't have to enter that Best Buy information again, right? I just have to enter the tax ID number and it'll auto-populate all of the other information associated with Best Buy. All right, we're gonna put that she made 15,632 and she paid 1,500 in taxes. Okay, we'll scroll down to the state just because I want to show you guys how easy it is to do a state return. And we'll put in the state ID number, 15,632, and the taxes were 963. Cool, then we'll click on save. Now, everybody focus down here where the refund has now increased. And this is now a summary of everything we've just entered into the software, right? She's made $15,000. Her standard deduction, because we left her as single instead of head of household, is $12,550. After this deduction, her taxable income is $3,082, right? So it kind of breaks everything down for you. Ultimately, her refund is $8,410, right? So after I've entered all of this information, I've asked Barbara, do you have any other income? Do you have any other documents? She tells me no. I say, okay, and I click on verify. Now, once we click on verify, these are some errors that have to be fixed. And when I say errors, it's just additional questions that the IRS has. Like I didn't enter the person's license number. Due diligence requirements, there's an entire course on that within our platform on how to answer that. Recovery rebate credit is the stimulus. It just wants to know how much the client received, because remember, if they didn't get it, they do get it on the tax return. And the schedule 8812 is if the client got a child tax credit. If they received it monthly, you have to report the amount they received monthly. So I'm going to go ahead and close that and just show you how to open up a California return. So you would simply click here, click on revisit. Everything's already there for you, right? It's already kind of brought everything from the first screen, from the federal return to your state return. So essentially, you need to click here on verify. Again, click on California and answer the questions that now California has, which are some EIC questions, health insurance questions, all of that good stuff. But ultimately, once you answer that, the return is complete and ready to be submitted to the IRS. Now, this is what I would call your work in progress screen. And the reason I call it that is because it tells you what's going on the return. Has it been sent? Has it not been sent? Is it missing something? Like as you can see, this return I can't specifically send because it's missing all of this to be answered. I can't mark it as complete. I can't do anything. Now, there's a more thorough training on the software, but I wanted you guys to take a look at it so you can see that it took me about 7 minutes or less to complete that tax return. And I would easily charge this client $200 or more, right? Because not only did I do your federal return, but I also did a state return. So I can charge more money. Again, you don't charge a percentage of the client's tax return, but you can charge accordingly, right? Remember that you're investing in yourself. When you buy your software, you're investing in your education, and you have to turn around and charge your client, right? You're not charging just to do a tax return. You're not charging just to enter the information. You're charging for your knowledge. There may be more on this client's return where you can charge more. Maybe she is self-employed. Maybe she has a side hustle where she sells life insurance. I don't know. She sells something. So it's important to analyze each client's situation. The software will come with a built-in idea of what you should be charging. You can always add more. You can always take away. Remember that, and this is what I will discuss shortly, whatever you charge in your software is completely yours. You're not sharing it with anybody. So there's no need to worry about, well, I need to charge more than that because I'm not going to make any money off of it. No, because it's all yours. Okay. So ultimately, if you wanted to take a look at that 1040, let me show you what that looks like. Hopefully I don't freeze up the computer. Right. And 1040 looks like a regular 1040. If you guys do taxes, like your own taxes, you know that this is exactly what yours looks like. The client's name, their address, the dependent information, all of the income that we added, and of course, ultimately the refund amount. And then here goes the routing and account number. Another cool feature of the software is that you can send a signature link. So if your client is not sitting in front of you, you can send them two different links. One to just simply sign the tax return, right? You click here on My Tax Office. One to simply sign the tax return, or you can give them access to a client portal where they'll be able to access the status on the return, their invoice. They'll be able to see the copy of the return year round. Like, it's a good feature because they can also upload documents to you. Anything that you would virtually need for that part, you can send that to them as well. They would create a username and password. All of it is in there, okay? Now, just to jump back here into the presentation, let me find it right here. Gladys, we're still good? You can see my screen? Cool, cool, cool. So now I've showed you what the software looks like. I kind of gave you a touch on the tax class and what it is. Now let's talk about what your investment is, what this costs, how you make it happen, right? You know what it takes, you know how easy that was. Now, what does it take as far as an investment? So you do have two different payment options. You have a one-time annual payment of $8.99, and that includes all of your services, tax training, bookkeeping curriculum, on-demand certification. It also, that's not on this list, is your continued education credits. Some of the classes that we offer do qualify for continued education credits, so we are authorized to give that to you. And I want to say I just recently had a meeting about this. I want to say every week we'll be applying those CE credits. You'll get your marketing training. This is what the software used to look like. It no longer looks like that. It's the one I showed you. If you choose not to pay the $8.99, that's totally okay. You can do our flex pay option, which is our most popular option. It's $199 down and $79 a month. Okay, so that is the most popular option. It's just easier to pay than the $8.99, but ultimately it's up to you. You get the same benefits either way. Okay. Now your income potential. Now it's unlimited. There's no cap to how much you can make in this industry, right? It's one of the reasons why I love it. But our goal is to get you to your first 100 tax returns. Getting you to your first 100 tax returns at $300 a pop, you've already made $30,000. Now, if we can get you to an additional 15 bookkeeping clients at $250 a month, that's an additional $3,750. For the year, you've made $75,000. Okay. Now, if you say that may be too ambitious for you, we can bring it down a bit, right? Let's get you to 50 tax returns at $300. That's $15,000 for the tax season with 2 bookkeeping clients at $250 a month. You're making an income of about $21,000. So if you guys are already working on something else and you're just kind of adding this as an additional form of income, you can absolutely do that. I recently had one of my pro advisors, her name is Elise. I forget what she used to do, but she recently left her job and dedicated herself 100% to taxes because she realized that she could make more doing taxes. Now, the goal is to get you to 100 clients, but if you surpass that and you charge more than that, then of course your income is beyond that, right? Even in commission, I was making over 60 to 70,000, meaning somebody was taking a portion, a chunk of my preparation fees. I was still making 60 to 70,000 in 3 months. You know, who doesn't want that? To be able to stay home with your kids or do whatever else, you know, you like to do throughout the rest of the year. Okay, so the income is there, the potential is there. Now what does it take, right? You need the system, you need a mentor, and ambition. I provide you the system. I am your mentor. You know, Gladys is a brand ambassador. She can also help you and answer any questions. But what you need to bring is the ambition, because I can literally give you clients. If you choose not to do them, I can't force you to do them, you know? So this has to be in part and fully a commitment from you, okay? Now, what's next? Once you register with TSG, within 24 hours, you receive your username and password for the software and for the online learning program. You'll be able to start taking your classes and start to practice problems. Once you get all of that, you have instant access to online tax courses, bookkeeping courses, accounting principles, tax software download, which you don't need to download, just tax software login and password, and practice problems. Now, if you guys have any questions, you can unmute yourself because this is a meeting and you can ask me. You can use the chat feature or you can email me, find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whichever, or just give me a call or send me a text, whichever is most easy for you. And Gladys, if you want to add anything, you can. Now is the time.
I do. So I want to introduce myself as well. I'm Gladys. I believe Efren is here through me. I'm not sure. Efren, are you from California?
I want to say that he is. You can use the chat button if you can unmute.
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect. So one thing I wanted to point out is that California and only California requires that we obtain something called CTEC, which is 60 hours of continuation that you need to complete. And that's something that, you know, I would sit there with you and help you pass or help you obtain that CTEC. It's very easy. I know 6 hours sound like a lot of hours, but believe me, it can get done in less than 60 hours. But it is something that California requires. But again, California it's just California. They want us for everything, right? So, but yes, I wanted to point that out, that it's very important that you are aware that, we do need to obtain that. And, I would help you, through every step of the way to obtain that. I've been a tax preparer for 6 years. This is my 6th year in business. The past 4, I used to work for someone else, just like Jenny. They would take a cut out of my commission. I used to get like 20% commission. I thought I was like, oh man, I'm balling, 20%. And so I decided to venture on my own. And actually, my first year I worked from home, I was virtual 100%. And whoever wanted to get them done virtually, good. And who didn't, then oh well, and I actually did pretty well. In the personal, I'm a very chitty chat. I love to socialize. I love to be around others. So it was my decision to go out of my way and get an office on my 2nd year of being in business for myself. So that is why I'm personally in an office. But I worked from home and I did pretty good. I did good enough to be able to open up my own office on my 2nd year. And keep in mind that I had to start from scratch. I couldn't take my clients from the other office. I literally started from square one. It's a great industry. I think that for anything that you do in life, you need a mentor, whether it's, you want to learn how to do soccer, play soccer, you need a coach, right? And same with taxes. The laws are always changing, and it's very important to have someone who is there to have your back and back you up in case you have any questions. I mean, I have 6 years of experience, and even then, there's times that I'm like, Jenny, I don't know how to do this. And if I didn't have a team of people that I can recruit to or resource to, I don't know what I would have done, right? So I think it's very important. It's not like H&R Block. You go, you pay, you get your hours, and then they send you out and figure it out. No, we have an amazing team that we're able to be your mentor, be able to answer any questions that you may have. And if we don't have it, someone else will, because there's many of us working together so that we can deliver and be able to help you guys succeed. And even me, that they're there for me. So I wanted to pinpoint that out. And I also wanted to pinpoint again, for California, we do need a C-Tech. And I know it's not on there because California is the only one that requires it. So that's why we tend to leave it out, because we have people from all over the place. But once again, that's where I will go ahead and help you and make sure that you get that done. Other than that, I don't think that I have anything else to add on. Besides, it is an amazing industry. There is a lot of potential to make great income. Just in my 2nd year of being in business for myself, I was able to triple what I did. I've been out of the office for like 2 months, but that was because, I was able to make what a lot of people make in a year. I was able to make it in 4 months. And I think that's the beauty of being a tax preparer. It's up to you whether you want to be seasonal or you want to be year round. I personally like to be year round because I want people to know that I'm there for them, which is what kind of keeps people coming over and over. But you have the potential to make great income, whether it's part-time, whether it's just a side hustle, and just work the 4 months. It is truly a great industry. And a lot of people do leave their full-time jobs to make this, a full-time thing. But other than that, I don't think I have anything to add on. I don't know, maybe Efren or Barbara has any questions. We will be glad to answer them at this point.
Hi guys. I do wanted to ask a couple of questions. I was texting with Jennifer was it over the weekend?
Yeah.
And I've used the Drake software, and I already prepaid it for the next upcoming year. So I would need to know, what would I do in that case?
So I don't want to say I've never had that situation. I had a pro advisor who had prepaid the software, a different type of software, but I don't think it was Drake. And she was able to, the season hasn't started. She hadn't done anything, and she was able to get it reversed. Now, I don't have the full answer to that. I do have someone that does, so I'll have to call him once we get off this call. Gladys will be the first one to tell you. If I don't have the answer to something, somebody in our group does. So the one I'm going to call is Carlos Rosario, and whatever he tells me, I'll send it to you on Facebook so you know what to do next. Because you have it would be, I mean, you could use us just as the mentorship and as the coach and things like that. But if everything's already included for you, there's no reason for you to be paying double. So I'll verify with Carlos and then I'll tell you what your best approach would be next. Okay.
Okay. Okay. I mean, and I agree with everything that you guys are saying, because a mentor is super important. I mean, you can take classes, you can be on your own for a few years or many years, but you still need a good resource that you can bounce ideas and discuss certain cases, because you don't know it all.
Nope. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
this year, I had a lot of referrals this year. Like I said, this was my second year in business by myself. But of course, it's not my first time around the rodeo. But my first year that I went independent, like I said, I had to start from scratch. So it was very, very difficult. But the second year around, I was able to get a lot of referrals in. And COVID happened and there were so many changes with the IRS. Let's not go so far. Form 7202.
Dear Lord,
There
yes.
was a lot of tax preparers that I don't bash any tax preparer, but there's a lot of tax preparers that don't invest in their education. It's kind of just what we've known from like back, God knows when that the taxes started. So there was a lot of people who missed out on that credit because either tax preparers didn't know about it or because they didn't know how to fill out the form. And I was so lucky to have a team of mentors that were up to date with IRS that taught me about it, taught me the ins and outs, taught me how to fill it out. And guess what? I mean, just yesterday, I had a client who went to someone else. This tax preparatory, she had to pay $15,000 to IRS. She came to me, I got her back $6,600
Oh
just
my
because of
goodness.
that form. And she really did get COVID. It's not like I was just putting it just to put it. But my point with this is that the importance of having a team that will mentor you, the importance of having a team that will keep you up to date, and someone who will help you in case you have any questions. And I think that is super important when you're starting an industry. And I think this is more for eFriend because I think you've already been a tax preparer before. I'm not sure. But for eFriend, that I know that I don't know him, so I don't know if he's new or not, but I'm assuming he is. I think it's very important that when you're doing a career change or you are venturing into something that you completely don't know about, this is where you want to be. You want to be with someone, with a group of people who have the knowledge and that can give you that knowledge and share it with you. I think that it's super, super important. And I love what I do. I love what I do. And I wouldn't change it for anything. If I can have everyone come in and it's not like life insurance. We don't recruit people. Like this is 100% your business. I know Jenny mentioned that. And Efren, I want you to know that this is 100% your business. If you charge $300, those are your $300. If that is kind of like my charges, like $300 for a normal W-2. But when I do like Schedule C, like self-employment, we're talking $500, $600, $700 taxes. Those are my $500, $700 for me. I don't share it with anyone. So this is 100% your business. There's no recruiting. You don't share with anyone. So I wanted to make that very clear. This is all you. Whatever you want to call your business, XYZ Tax Services, that's all you. We don't take anything. So I wanted to pinpoint that.
As long as you have your EFIN, let me see if I can take you guys back to the software to the 1040. As long as you guys have your own EFIN, your business name will show. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Your business name will show on the bottom of the tax return. My internet's bad, but let me try that one more time.
Sorry.
You're fine. No, you don't want to work for me. I see. I feel like you have a favorite. No. Okay, I can't show it to you. But anyway, on the bottom of the 1040, that's where you'll find your business name, your name, your business name. So if you want to name your business, I don't know, Barbara Tax and More, you absolutely can. Or for you, Efren, if you want to name it, I don't know your last name, but Efren Taxes and Services or whatever your business name is, as long as you have your own EFIN, it will show on the bottom. Now, if you don't have your own EFIN and you're using the TSG EFIN, it's going to show like processing center or something like that. But that's just because you're using our EFIN and we have to protect the EFIN. There's been a lot of changes with the IRS, but as long as you have your own stuff, and I know when I say EFIN, it may sound a bit foreign to you guys, but I'll walk you through it. You know, there's a walkthrough on the online platform, on this learning platform here. I actually did a video and I did a step-by-step walkthrough. So if you're not somebody who, because I know I talk fast sometimes, so if you're not someone who can keep up with what I'm saying, you can, it's written for you, okay? Any other questions, Ephraim, Barbara, anything else?
Can you discuss the fees one more time, or can I see the fees once again?
For the software? I mean, for THC?
Well,
Yeah.
for the program itself.
Yeah, let me remember how I was there in the first place. Hold on. Okay, I did present.
Because I wasn't sure if there was one fee in total, or was it a monthly fee as well?
Yeah, you have the option of a one-time annual payment of $8.99. So that would just be a one-time fee. Or you could do $199 down and $79 a month. Okay. And one thing I haven't mentioned yet, you will have access to bank products. So Ephraim or Barbara, if you guys aren't sure what that means, if your client comes to your office and they can't pay you up front because you're charging too much or they just don't have the money to pay you, you can take your fee from their refund. And I don't know who we're using this year. Last year we used Santa Barbara. We had a bunch of problems. So I don't know if we're going to stick with them or go with someone else, but you do have access to that. Okay. So you don't have to worry about those clients who can't pay you.
I used EPS and they're the cheapest and it worked very well.
Okay, I'll bring that up to Carlos. I mean, I know that in the past we've used Refund Advantage and we've used Refundo, but I don't think he's ever used EPS. So I'll tell him about it. I don't know about
Yeah,
it.
EPS is like $18.95.
For transmitting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not bad, not bad. I'll bring that up to Carlos and see what he says. If he's heard of it, maybe he hasn't. I don't know. So I'll bring that up to him and then I'll ask him the question about, you know, you having Drake, what your options could possibly be. Because I know if like you had TSG and I mean, we're awesome, so you wouldn't leave us. But if you did decide to, there's no penalty for you canceling or anything like that. So let's say you go with the $199 down and $79 a month. Again, I don't want you guys to cancel, but I'm being transparent. If within 5 months you say this isn't for me, this isn't working, I'm not learning the way I thought I wanted to, I want to cancel, you don't have to come out of your pocket and pay more money. It's okay, you want to cancel, and maybe Julio, who is our CFO, may call you to see what happened. But other than that, we just submit a form and you'll stop being charged.
I mean, I've used this program before. Like I told you, this software is my tax office or tax ProLink, whatever they used to call it, or the main software.
Right. Yeah, they've tweaked it a bit. It's not hard to use, which I think is my favorite part because we were using TaxWise last year. And Gladys can tell you it was absolutely horrendous. She was begging me to go back.
Oh no, I
the process.
purchased TaxWise and I gave it back.
I was
Yeah,
like,
you see?
I'll pay anything. I don't care. Just take me out.
Oh
Take me
no,
back to like whatever I was using.
I paid for TaxWise and gave it back and decided to go with Drake.
Yeah. Also, I want to pinpoint that for Ephraim, if Ephraim, are you new to the tax world or you have some type of knowledge?
No, I'm totally new.
Great. What do you currently do? If you don't mind me asking.
I work in the healthcare department.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, when you become a tax preparer, there's a couple of steps that we need to follow. One is obviously getting our P10, which is super easy. You can get it within 15 minutes to 24 hours, so it's not a biggie. But we do encourage that you get what is called an EFIN. An EFIN is what allows you to electronically send out tax returns, and it avoids you having to mail them out for your clients. Now, when applying for an EFIN, it does take about 45 days, sometimes even more. When I got my EFIN, it took like I want to say about 3 months for me to get it. I was freaking out. I thought I wasn't going to get it in time. So if this is a route that you decide to take, this is something that we need to do like yesterday, because we need to make sure that you get your EFIN on time before the season starts. Like I said, you can obviously use TSG EFIN, but there's nothing like using your own, believe me. I did both. So I totally recommend that you get your EFIN. And of course, you want to go ahead and get your training in now, because when January comes around, you want to be a pro, or at least have some type of knowledge on how to fill out a 1040, which is, you know, the main forms. So definitely I encourage that, you know, you start as of, you know, within this month if possible, no later than next month, because you definitely want to get that training in. And it's not rocket science. Taxes is not rocket science, but it's definitely a good side income, but you want to do it right. If you want to make truly good income, you got to make it right. You got to get the EFIN, you got to get your C ticket, you got to get your PTIN, and that's where we'll go ahead and help you. So I do want to pinpoint that out, that since you're completely new, keep in mind that to get your EFIN, it does take a while for it to kick in. So we got to get started on that now.
Okay, got it.
All right, my love. So if there's anything further that you guys have questions about, Ephraim, you can call me, you can call Gladys. Barbara, same, you can call me, you can call Gladys, whichever. And we'll help you through it. We'll help you through any questions you have. Barbara, I'll probably be messaging you on Facebook tonight to tell you whatever Carlos tells me if he answers me, if not tomorrow morning when I see him. But other than that, it has been an absolute pleasure.
I put my phone number in the chat in case anyone, I don't know if it popped up or not. That's my phone number. You guys can screenshot it and save it. And if you guys have any questions, you can text me or call me. And then I'll if Jenny's unavailable, then you know I can go ahead and get in touch with you guys. I have the same access as Jenny to Carlos. So if Jenny's not available for whatever reason, feel free to reach out to me. Also because Jenny is Florida time, sometimes if you try to reach out to her at 7, it's like freaking 11 o'clock for her. So I think sometimes that will be your best bet since I'm on Pacific time, Saturday time. So
Thank you.
because sometimes I forget. It's like I text Jenny like at 10 o'clock at night and I'm like, oh dang, it's like 1 a.m. for her. Sorry, Jenny. I'm
Tell
trying to
them,
work
I
on it. I'm
answer.
getting better.
I answer though, right?
You do. It's like 3 a.m. for your time, and I'm like, Jenny, it's 3 a.m. for you. What are you doing up? Like,
I'm on TikTok. I have
Working.
3-year-old twins running around the house, so I'm doing something. But anyways, guys, absolute pleasure this evening. Anything you need, please feel free to let us know. You know, we're here for you, and we hope that you join us soon. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
bye guys.
You're welcome. Have
Thank
a good
you.
night. Bye-bye.